بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين، وبعد. قال الشيخ العلامة علاء الدين المرداوي الحنبلي تغمده الله برحمته وأسكنه فسيح جنته ونفعنا به وبعلومه وعلوم مشايخنا في الدارين آمين. وما لا ينفك عن المتواتر الشرائط المعتبرة في التواتر كما سيذكر. What cannot be separated from المتواتر, the conditions or the prerequisites that will be mentioned when we are discussing the details of التواتر later. We can reduce these conditions to the impossibility of them agreeing on lying. The impossibility of the narrators agreeing on lying. And so this is one. And that they report something that they saw, heard, or accessed by one of the senses, the five senses. And he says, what is not separated, what cannot be separated from al-mutawatir are these things, are these two conditions. What about the third? Yani the third is included in the two we've already mentioned. This makes you, or it makes it clearer in your head what we really mean by external factors. Last dars we finished with the external factors. You understand what we mean by external factors. And if we have things that cannot be separated, so this is here, and maybe away from it we have the external factors with the order around, and if you go farther than that you have other than the external factors. It's all depending on how you perceive it. I think this sentence should make our discussion very clear now, especially that we will not be in any position of differentiating between the external and the things that are other than the external factors or so. And then he tells you about examples of the external factors. But these examples might not be really helpful for a student whose main focus is ilm al-hadith, like myself. But let's read them because they will probably widen our horizons and they will allow us to see the bigger picture, as I said in the last dars. He says, والقرائن الزائدة المفيدة للعلم قد تكون عادية كالقرائن التي تكون على من يخبر عن موت ولده من شق الجيوب والتفجع. The external factors that might benefit certainty, the external factors do not benefit certainty on their own. The meaning is the external factors that when combined with a report, the combination benefits certainty. They could be, he says, عادية, traditional, let's say. Tradition dictates something. Yeah. For instance, a person whose son died and his sadness, his mourning, and maybe the fact that he is like tearing his clothes, which is haram, but this is not our discussion. These are signs that show you that it is certain. We have this saying like men do not discuss examples. Men here means like scholars. Yes, I'm sorry for any feminist. Yeah, scholars. Let's say scholars. Yeah, because it's even better. I do not want to say men. I want to say scholars actually. Okay. Scholars do not discuss examples. In Arabic we would say something like مناقشة المثال ليست من شيم العلماء. ليست من شيم الرجال يعني لكن أي العلماء. Discussing examples is not one of the characteristics of a scholar. However, it is beneficial to see it from this perspective, because now we benefit certainty from a person who told us, reported to us the death of his son, because we see that this person is mourning and tearing his clothes, or pulling his hair or something like this. I just want you to understand that maybe the example is not as I have just explained it. It appears as I have just explained it, but maybe the apparent meaning is not intended. Maybe what's really intended is that people reported to us, people, a group of people, not one individual. And I think now you understand where the problem is. One individual or a group of people reported to us that this person's son died. I think this is a very good appropriation of the example. If how I explained it earlier, if this was the intended meaning, then this is a very good appropriation. And I do not think they would disagree with my appropriation. Yes, because if we keep the example as it appears, على من يخبر بموت ولده, he reports the death of his son, but he is just an individual. But even if we make him one among others who report to us the death of this person's son, and then we see the external factor of mourning, crying, pulling hair, slapping face, all the, by the way, I'm just mentioning haram things that cannot be done. Mourning is not haram though. Yeah, but all these are signs, factors that indicate that this person's son died, certainly died. It is proper then to remind you that we are never talking about logical certainty here, something that some of the scholars did not clearly mention, and some of them did not clearly distinguish between logical certainty or Aristotelian logical certainty according to the interpretations of the Arabs, the interpretations of translations that probably took place here in Egypt even before the Islam. Yes, this is one perspective, and the other perspective is what we call certain, or what is certain, and we call it when we talk about the impossibility, we talk about the opposite of certainty, the impossibility. نقول استحالة عادية. So we associate it with العادة, how things usually are, the tradition, let's say. So we would call it اليقين العادي, not logical certainty but traditional certainty or so. And that's why one of the conditions, even in one of the conditions, we say أن تحيل العادة تواطؤهم على الكذب, that العادة makes it impossible for them, not the intellect, not the logic, that al-'ada makes it impossible for them to agree on lying or so, as we will explain it later. The point here is, this is an external factor, that he's mourning, that he's crying, that he's doing these things. But to be honest, I am interested in pursuing the possibility that he is just one person, and we benefited from this combination certainty, but we will not call it tawatur. And this possibility could be the intended possibility. Aslan. The intended meaning. Aslan. He's showing you how something becomes certain, even though we do not even have the simplest condition, which is the narration of a group of people. This is a narration of an individual. But if you think about it, traditionally the example should be something that gathers everything that we mentioned in the definition, but leaves this last part, which is that in itself it benefits certainty. The report in itself benefits you certainty. It should leave this out, bring you everything else, and show you, the example shows you that everything is here, but it does not benefit certainty in itself. But we gathered all the other factors, but it does not benefit you certainty in itself, only when other factors, external ones, came around, only when they came around, when they got combined with the report, then you got certainty. Only then. I know these durus are advanced. They are even more advanced than the live durus that you attend. Because of their nature, they have to be more advanced. And I can't say unfortunately, I would say fortunately. Apparently, we do not call something like this mutawatir unless it benefits certainty, unless the benefit of acquiring certainty comes from the report itself, not from the external factors. Also, if there is a report that benefits us certainty, this is just a hypothetical situation. We might not find any report out, any real report outside the intellect that qualifies as the one that we are describing now, the report of one person that benefits you certainty without the allowance, or without including or the inclusion of external factors. In itself, it benefits you certainty. Does not exist outside the intellect. The intellect is trying to see that, yeah, al-'ada makes it impossible for this one person to lie, or al-'ada considers this one person like a group of people for whom lying would be traditionally impossible. Hypothetical. Let's discuss the example of the Prophet ﷺ. If you receive a report from him, it benefits you certainty. Why? External factors. The report of one person, him ﷺ, and he is the Prophet. Or is it an internal factor? I think we would say it's an external factor. Apparently, these scholars made their job much easier when they started with excluding the report of the one. The report of the one. But I'm really interested in pursuing the possibility that prophethood is an internal factor. A little bit of tarwih for those who understand what the tarwih is. I remember this question that our Wahhabi Shaykh gave me once. He said, do we love the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam because of being himself, or because of being the Prophet? My answer was, I do not really see the difference. I think this justifies my interest in pursuing the possibility that dictates that prophethood is an internal factor. By the way, what I've mentioned is the relied upon position of the madhab. If you receive a report from him, if you are a companion and you receive from him, it is certain. From whose perspective? Your perspective as a receiver from him. Wallahu a'lam. Naam. طيب. Another example. وقد تكون عقلية. So the external factor could be عادي, traditional. These traditional things that people do when they are mourning or they are sad that their son died. It could be a logical factor or logical قرينة. كخبر جماعة تقتضي البديهة أو الاستدلال صدقهم وقد تكون حسي. طيب. Imagine a group of people who are reporting something to us, and axiomatically or evidence dictates that what they are saying is the truth or is true, certainly the truth or certainly true. This is not mutawatir. It's a group of people. They report something to us, and it is impossible for them, or it benefits us certainty. It benefits us certainty. A group of people who reported something that benefits us certainty in itself. Is this true? No, it does not benefit us certainty. We've already benefited certainty, or we are benefiting certainty from the fact of we've already benefited certainty because we find it axiomatic. What they reported to us does not, actually it's not ikhbar anymore. We do not receive anything from them, because if we have something we cannot receive it. This is called تحصيل الحاصل, and it's a logical impossibility. Doing something that has already been done is a logical impossibility, and they are telling us something that we believe to be axiomatic. It's in our minds, in our intellects, in our hearts. There is no difference whether they tell us or not. We've already known it. But if they tell us something and then we heard their report, we heard it from them, we received it from them, we benefit al-dhann. But through al-istidlal, seeking evidence, we made sure that what they said was actually the truth. So we are certain now about what they told us. We did not benefit the certainty from the report of the group. We benefited it from al-istidlal, from seeking the evidence. Yes. Apparently, it is the combination of their report and the evidence that we sought. Apparently. However, I can see a scenario in which our istidlal made us reach certainty. Let's call it here logical certainty, but after some process of istidlal. Yes. I do not think that the type of evidence. الاستدلال means deduction. The type of evidence that we sought when we went through this process of deduction is something that can be, allow me to say, orchestrated with the type of evidence that we seek when we receive the report of a reporter. Two different types that cannot be mixed. One of them will cancel the other, at least from one perspective. You will have to differentiate between perspectives. If I say that, a person told me that he saw the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I was there during these times in Medina. He saw him, a man who claims to be a prophet from God and everything. And I told him what is his miracle, and he tells me he has a book, and this book claims that it can never be challenged. No one can produce anything like this book. I told him, okay, bring me the book. Now, I do not have certainty that this person, that the reporter claimed in his report, he saw him, this is his claim. I do not know whether he exists there or not. I understand that it's possible, but I'm not sure. And then when he brought the book, I found it as it's true. And let's say that what we need to prove here is that this person existed at some point there, somewhere in the world, not necessarily in Al-Madinah. Yani, let's avoid all the unnecessary details. So it proves it. It proves it. This example that I've just given lacks one detail, that the proof is not probably logical from an Aristotelian perspective. However, it suffices in saying something like, the evidence that I sought when I saw the book, the Quran or so, does not make me in need of the report of the reporter anymore. It can easily be neglected. It does not add anything. نعم. طيب. وقد تكون حسيات كالقرائن التي تكون على من يخبر عن عطشه. يعني the evidence or the external factors could be حسية, something that can be sensed. For instance, that you see on the lip, like the lips, the color of someone a person who's thirsty, his lips are white. So he tells you, I'm thirsty. Or people tell you he is thirsty, and you go and see, you find that his lips are white, or his face is yellow, or anything like this, or he looks tired, or it's dehydrated, or anything like this. Things that you can see and sense. So this is another type of the factors. I think we covered these examples and everything. And next time we will read from قال ابن العراقي زاد بعضهم بنفسه لا ليخرج ما امتنع فيهم ذلك بالقرائن أو موافقة دليل عقلي أو غير ذلك ولا يحتاج لذلك لأن المفيد للقطع هو مع القرائن انتهى. So we will talk about this briefly next time inshallah. والله تعالى أعلى وأعلم وصلى اللهم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين.